Facebook up here. And we gotta get my Twitch manager up here so that we could see who's on. What was that? It just flew past me. So again, I'm looking to go do the live record at 3:00. Dickie says he's got Harvick for the win in Atlanta. Obviously, off of the momentum of Briscoe, you would think that Harvick would be a favorite heading into Atlanta. So I don't think that's a bad pick. I really don't. I think Harvick's got a really good shot at it. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, we'll get into what I think is going to happen at Atlanta. I do think it's going to be a little bit interesting. And my Twitch is showing up here, so I gotta get. I gotta get on. No, well, it might get me there. I need stream manager. That's what I want. Need the stream manager. So we got a couple folks here joining us on Facebook. So thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, 3:00 we're gonna go live here with all of our different streaming outfits. If you're not watching us via Facebook, we are also live right now on Twitch. So twitch.tv/Giants, like the football team, 02122. And we are also on our YouTube channel, which is just straight up Crew Chiefs Corner. Just search it on there as well. So we got all that going. Now I got to get into Anchor, which is where we do our podcast. And we got to get the old episode up and loaded here. So give me 1 minute. So hopefully everyone's having a good week so far. Hopefully, you guys are starting to get into some spring. For those of you that live up here in the Northeast, it's been kind of nice to have a little bit of some 70-ish degree weather. So got up to 72 yesterday. I think it's 72 right now, as I just looked at my watch. So some really nice weather here out in about the last couple days, and then we'll get rewarded with a 57-degree day tomorrow, I believe, and some monsoon rain. So it is what it is. This is the roller coaster that is springtime. So not now. Not having an event. All right. So while we get that going up on Facebook, that's going to go in there. Hopefully we got a few people to come in. I am going to get going here on the recording. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Bobby here at the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast, coming to you with another episode here. This is season 3, episode 3, even though we're on race number, we're going to be on race number 5 of the season, but we have gotten through the first 4 weeks of the NASCAR season. We had Daytona. We had a pretty decent Daytona 500, I'd say. With a surprise first-time winner with Austin Cindric. We got to Auto Club Speedway, the second race of the season. I wouldn't say Kyle Larson winning the second race of the season was a big surprise. Maybe it was a surprise that he won as fast as he did, just given the fact that, these are new cars and there is some kind of a learning curve with these new next-gen cars as far as the Cup Series go. So Larson winning out at Auto Club, and then we had some really good racing out at Las Vegas. with, I would say, not a big surprise that Alex Bowman wins, but Bowman's been sneaky these last few years. He's kind of been at the right place at the right time, and I think that getting that win at Las Vegas, I think cements his place obviously in the playoffs, but also I think cements him as part of the conversation this year. I think that that's really the big takeaway from Las Vegas was that Bowman's going to be a factor this season. Okay, and then you get to Phoenix. And this was the race that I think that everybody was going to kind of judge the next gen car on. Okay. So we get to Phoenix, a lot of things on the table. These restarts have always been wild at Phoenix. They tend to be a little bit more wild in the championship race because you got, championship implications on the line. But I thought for the spring race, it was a pretty decent race. Phoenix is never going to be, in my opinion, an amazing race. I don't think it's really the track that we need to be having our season finale at. And I think that I think a lot of the fans out there kind of feel the same way. And for those of you that are watching us live on the various platforms that we're on, I mean, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but I really do think that Phoenix as a racetrack to go to for your championship finale, I don't know of how many people are really going to be excited about that. And I see someone making a comment in our Facebook Live right now. I don't know how many people would climb a fence at Phoenix because they're just that excited. Just saying. I don't think it's going to happen a lot. But anyhow, we got a lot to get into. We're going to talk all about Phoenix. We'll break down the Xfinity and the Cup race out there. We had I don't want to say a surprise winner in Xfinity because, I just think Noah Gragson's been pretty good. But when you look at how good his teammate, Justin Allgaier, has been at Phoenix over the years, you kind of wonder, had they not had some kind of a problem, I think, with the hub earlier in the year, if they would have, earlier in the race, I should say, had they not found that and had that car been actually pretty good, maybe Allgaier would have had a shot at that deal. So worth discussing, but I still think Noah Gragson had a really good shot at getting that win. I think Gragson's going to be a contender for this title this year. I mean, I think he's going to be an even more serious contender this season than he was last year. I mean, if you remember back to last year, Noah Gragson just struggled out the gate. He did not have a good start to his season. And it seemed like he kind of came on late in the year. He got that win at Darlington, and he backed that up with a win, I believe, right the next week at Richmond. And I was at Richmond, and he was pretty dominant there. So I really do think that, we'll see what happens with Gragson as the season progresses. But now that he has a win at Phoenix, that's going to be in the back of people's minds, I think, come championship finale time here later in the season. So, like I said, a lot to get to. We'll talk about the Cup race. I would say the Cup race was the first race I saw more than like 20 minutes of this entire season, just because of the way my schedule works and the way, unfortunately, some of these races are just right in the middle of my shift, and there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to get to see much of them. So it was nice to see a little bit of it. I do think that this next gen car is very exciting. I think it's a great thing for the sport. Obviously, the popularity of the sport has been pretty big here. The first 4 weeks of the season, it's been the number one sport to watch on TV, according to the TV ratings. So that's a good thing. I think NASCAR has hit a home run on that. But I do think the one thing that we'll have to kind of monitor is as the season progresses, as we get into these summer months, what happens. Because I do think, and I'll talk about this later on in the episode, I do think once these mega teams, the Hendricks, the Gibbs, the Penske's, the Stewart Haas's really start getting a handle on this car, it's very likely that we're going to see the same thing that we've been seeing these last probably 10 years or so, where the dominant organizations of this sport are just going to take over, and someone's going to step up and win this championship because of this. So we'll see what happens, but we got a lot to cover, and we haven't even touched on Atlanta yet. So I'll give you guys my take on Atlanta. I think a lot of these guys are complaining about whether it's fans or whether it's drivers, whatever, complaining about the size and the narrowness of the corners. If you listened last season, we talked about this briefly. I said that this is no more narrow than Charlotte Motor Speedway is. And I don't I don't necessarily agree with what NASCAR is going to do this weekend, which is basically turn Atlanta um, into a pack race. I just don't think it's going to be a thing. I just don't see it happening. I think NASCAR is trying to invent something it doesn't need to invent, and we'll get into that once we get started here. So, a lot to look forward to here on the Coochie's Corner podcast. I'm Bobby Bailey, and let's talk about our friends over at Circle B Diecast. You can get all your latest diecast right on circlebdiecast.com. Remember, if you use my promo code Crew Chiefs Corner, no apostrophe in the S, just all one word, Crew Chiefs Corner, you get free shipping. How about free shipping on all U.S. continental orders over $20? You get free shipping if you use my promo code Crew Chiefs Corner. Once again, on circlebdiecast.com. They even have Chase Briscoe's race-winning diecast available right now on the website. So go see my friends at circlebdiecast.com. And on the other side of the break, we will get the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast started on Bobby Bailey. All right, guys. So that was the first segment, the opening segment. So what we're going to do is I don't think anybody's made any chats here in the YouTube side of things, mainly because I didn't really specify when I made the post here that we were doing YouTube, but it's okay. So I see Dickie said the single lug nut is showing itself to be a bad idea. I mean, I do agree. I think NASCAR is. Listen, the modern car still has 5 lug nuts on it. I think the single lug idea was to try to make the pit stops. I don't want to say as much of a factor in the race. I think NASCAR's deal was to try to make it a little bit more quicker. But I don't know if that's really helping the situation any. But at least that's what I know. I do agree that 5 is sort of what it should have been. I don't necessarily agree with them going to a single lug. I just don't know. I don't know what they were thinking, but that's that. Chase Elliott winning at Atlanta. I think Chase is cursed there. I really do. I like Chase. Obviously, I'm wearing a Chase Elliott shirt, but I just think he's cursed there for whatever reason. He just can't get the job done there. It makes no sense to me because he's been good at mile-and-a-half tracks. Like, he won at Kansas. He's won at other places. I don't understand why he's not so great at Atlanta. It doesn't make sense to me. And no, it's not Formula One, Philip, but I do agree that NASCAR's got to do they got to do some soul searching here on this single lug / flat tire issue. I think they're having way too many issues with this. And I don't know what's going on. So we'll get into it. All right, everybody. This is Bobby Bailey back here at the Coochie's Corner, Season 3, Episode 3, Phoenix Raceway recap. And I don't really know where to start. I mean, let's start with the Phoenix Xfinity race. So I would say a pretty decent Xfinity race. I mean, I didn't get to see all of it. I saw kind of like the tail end of it. But I want to give a quick shout out to Ryan Sieg and RSS Racing. For those of you that have followed the podcast for long enough, know that I've been a sponsor of Ryan's in the past, back when Ryan was really first starting out in Xfinity, believe it or not. So that was like 4 or 5 years ago now. We were an associate sponsor on his truck and his Xfinity car at Daytona. And Ryan's had, I would say, a rough 2021. And he started out 2022 sort of a little bit better. Then he had to tussle last week with Ty Gibbs, which, I mean, Ty Gibbs is going to piss off the wrong guy. And I'm just going to flat out say it. He's going to piss the wrong guy off. And I actually thought Ryan Sieg was the guy not to piss off. I mean, I have seen Ryan go at it in a garage area at Pocono Raceway with Ryan Reed. And those boys can scrap over there at RSS. So I really thought Ty Gibbs made a boneheaded move. And I'll say it. I'll call it right out, like I said. Like I just said it. It is boneheaded on lap 4 to go after a guy and basically try to take him out of the race. I mean, I don't know what the hell Ty Gibbs was thinking. I know that he thinks that I got the fastest bleeping car in this racetrack, and I'm going to go as hard as I can, and I'm just going to, do whatever I got to do to win the race. But as somebody that should be in his ear, Kyle Busch, should be telling this young man that's not really the way to earn respect in this garage area. And I really don't know if Ty Gibbs is earning that respect right now because, you ruffle feathers with a guy like Ryan Sieg. I mean, Ryan Sieg could make your race hell if he wants it, if he wants to. Ryan, for the most part, runs pretty well. I mean, this is a family-run organization, a team that runs with limited funding. I don't want to say they're as bad as they were when I was sponsoring the organization, albeit on a very smaller scale than like what CMR sponsoring them on. But when you have limited resources, I mean, I can't blame Ryan for wanting to try to go and wreck Ty Gibbs because basically Ty ruined Ryan's race. And Ryan's going out there and he's gonna put, Ty Gibbs in his place. And albeit he goes out and wrecks himself and he gets called to the NASCAR hauler. And that's sort of where I was a little bit worried for Ryan because this isn't the first time Ryan's gotten into it with a driver. This is not the first time Ryan Sieg has tried wrecking a guy on the track, albeit both times he's tried to do it has been both duly deserved by the recipient. But Ryan screwed himself the two times he's done this. So I will say that Ryan has, I think, made his point very clear, and I think Ty Gibbs realized he screwed up, which is partially why I think in Victory Lane last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, that Ty Gibbs actually apologized for wrecking Ryan and causing that situation. But it's a little too late, if you ask me. And it was kind of a good storyline to head into Phoenix with. And then what happens? Ryan Sieg goes out and qualifies sixth, which is his best starting spot he's had in I think it was sixth. It could have been fourth. I think it was fourth because Parker Retzlaff, who's driving the 38 this past weekend at Phoenix, qualified sixth, if I remember correctly. But those boys had a really good qualifying effort. Ryan had a solid race. I mean, he finished 11th, which I thought was pretty decent considering all the issues these guys had last year with these Stewart-Haas racing cars. I mean, these guys got some used equipment from Stewart-Haas when they made the switch to Ford. They got Roush Yates motors, and you would think on paper that would make Ryan Sieg Racing, instead of being that proverbial 15th to 16th place car most weekends, to be a top 10 contender. And they had some flashes last season, but it just seemed like it was just that. There were just flashes, and they had a lot of mechanical issues during the course of the year. Some really silly things that have happened to that organization. And for Ryan to come out with an 11th place finish, he's fifth in points. Ryan Sieg's off to a good start. But I know the focus is going to be on Noah Gragson. And Noah Gragson's had a really good start to this season as well. Noah's, I think, finished in the top 2 or 3 each race so far this season, with the exception maybe like Daytona or something. But, Noah Gragson's having a fantastic season. And he proved it on Saturday that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And he's going to be somebody that, if you're Justin Allgaier, you're AJ Allmendinger, you're Daniel Hemrick, you're going to have to fight Noah Gragson this year in order to win this championship. And, I think there was a little bit of a concern if you were a Noah fan going into the season with how Noah and his new crew chief, Luke Lambert, were going to work together. Because anytime you change a position such as a crew chief, it takes time. This is not normally a process that just happens overnight, and I do think that Luke having a little familiarity with JRM, having worked with Elliott Sadler in the past. I don't actually, I take that back. I don't think Luke worked with Elliott when he was at JRM, but Luke having familiarity with the Xfinity cars, with the Xfinity series, I think helped the learning curve a little bit. It's not like he's a rookie crew chief going into this deal. Dave Ellens was revered in that building. We know his success and how he's been a championship winning crew chief. Obviously with William Byron and how that all played out. But Dave Ellens has been a very good crew chief over there at Junior Motorsports. And for Luke to step in and so early in the season, 4 races in, go out and claim a win with your driver. I mean, that's an impressive statement to make. And I think it's a big statement to make when you look at this championship series finale is at Phoenix. This is not one of those deals where, you can overlook this. I mean, he has a win now at Phoenix. It's going to make the other teams take notice when it comes to Noah Gragson, and his chances of winning this championship look pretty decent here early in March. But would it look this good in about 3 to 4 weeks? That remains to be seen. I don't, I mean, I think if you look back the last couple years at drivers that have won at Phoenix in the spring, usually by the time the fall rolls around, these guys are usually not in the picture per se. You look back last year, Martin Truex Jr. got that win at Phoenix in the Cup Series, and where was Truex running late in the year? He was kind of hot and cold by the point we got back to Phoenix. You look, Brandon Jones had won there at Phoenix as well, and Brandon Jones kind of didn't really have a great year, and really wasn't in playoff contention by the time the series got back to Phoenix later in the season. So this is not always an indicator of who's going to be good there, but it does give you an indication of, more so I'd say, on the Cup side of things than on the Xfinity side. I think the Xfinity side, because these cars are so similar all year round, there's not major differences between, back in the day when we had, really you flash back to last season when we had that 750 package and the non 750 package, that 570 package or 550 package they were running. You don't have that discrepancy in Xfinity. The cars are the same. They run the same horsepower all year round. The only real difference is the spoiler heights get a little bit different on the plate tracks than they do on the short tracks and the intermediate tracks. But by and large, the cars are the same all year round. So I do think Noah's going to be one of those rare guys that had win at Phoenix in the spring, and I think he's going to be one of the final four that's going to be going for this championship come November. I really do think he's going to have a real shot at it because of how good JRM has been. And I just look at Noah as another year more mature. I think his biggest competition in Austin Cindric is not, is not there. He doesn't have, there's not a guy on the Ford camp that I could sit here today and say, wow, you really got to watch out for XYZ driver. There's not a guy in the Ford camp that really scares you. Riley Herbst has been up and down his entire career, and Riley's been more down than up. Ryan Sieg, I think Ryan's got the capability. If those guys could ever put a race together, I think Ryan could win a short track race. I really do. I think a great place for Ryan Sieg to, I would say, kind of look at where Ryan Sieg is this year would be Dover. I mean, that's a place he normally runs well at. I think Ryan has gone on record to say that is his favorite racetrack. But you then have to look at the Chevrolet camp, and they have a lot of really great drivers there. Hemrick's going to get his act together at Kaulig. Landon Castle has started showing up the last few weeks. He has back-to-back top 10s for the first time in, I think, years in his Xfinity career. So Landon Castle's finally getting the ship righted over there at Kaulig. Daniel Hemrick will get his act together. AJ Allmendinger is going to go out and win races. He's going to be competitive on the road courses, and he's going to go out and probably win some oval races this year even too. So the formula is there for Chevrolet to get this championship. It'll just be interesting to see who on the Toyota side of things is going to step it up and get there. I know Gibbs has really got a couple, shots. Ty's going to be a competitive car, and Brandon Jones is going to be up there. So both of those drivers are going to be fighting for wins. I think Ty Gibbs is really honestly the best shot that Toyota has at winning this title this season. And I think Chevrolet's got basically the rest of the field covered outside of Ty Gibbs. So it's going to come down to, I think, the JRM group. I do think that Austin Hill could be a factor, but I really think it's JRM and Ty Gibbs this year is really going to be the championship battle. And Kaulig's going to have probably Hemrick and Allmendinger in. But I think that is really, it's going to be JRM versus Kaulig versus Gibbs like it's been the last couple of years. But you don't have another team that's going to be in this. I think that really makes it a foursome. So something to keep an eye on the rest of the season. And like I said, a big win for Noah Gragson early in the season. Get that win out of the way. Now you can focus on collecting more stage points, collecting more wins, put yourself in a good spot So when the playoffs do roll around, you put yourself in the best position possible in order to go out and come away as a champion at Phoenix in the fall. So that's that. Now, getting to the Cup race, I would say this about Chase Briscoe's win. Briscoe definitely had a really good car, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people were looking forward to with this next gen car, and I think this is the deal as far as it goes along with the next gen at Phoenix. I think overall, if you look at the race, I don't think the race was incredibly exciting. I don't think that this was one of those races that someone's going to sit there and say, "Oh my gosh, the race at Phoenix was out of control. I got to get a ticket next season, or I got to go watch the championship race there in the fall." I don't think there's a single person out there that really thought that honestly that Phoenix was a great race. What made Phoenix, at least the Cup race, what made the Cup race great was we had a late race restart and multiple late race restarts that really made it an exciting race. You can't tell me that Briscoe, Chastain, and Reddick on that final restart going at it for the race win, you can't tell me that wasn't exciting. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, as far as the overall race was a dud, if you ask me. I don't really think that Phoenix brings a lot to the table as far as entertainment value during the normal race. And it's the same thing a lot of people make a knock on Dover and Pocono about is that how boring the actual race is versus how sometimes the endings play out. Dover, for example, is boring to sit there and watch them run 400 laps in a row without many cautions or without the stage breaks. But Phoenix has been just as boring, in my opinion, to watch on TV because there's not a really good shot at the guy that's got a fast car to really make up enough time to really make it an exciting race. The only shot you ever have, if you get really behind the eight ball and you miss the setup at Phoenix, the only shot in hell you have of making up positions and making up time on the track is if you get cautions. And I mean, outside of guys losing it, Eric Jones losing it off of turn 2, coming down the back straightaway, going into 3, they're late in a run. I mean, if it was outside of those kind of situations during the race, I don't think we would have been saying that Richmond was even. I mean, not Richmond. Phoenix was even an exciting race. It really wasn't. Um, and again, I don't think that that's a product of the next gen car. I think the next gen car is an exciting car, and I think it brings a lot to the table as far as that entertainment value. But I just don't think Phoenix is the right place for it. And I just think that they got to do something with Phoenix, whether it's bring it back to the old school Phoenix or do something different. I just don't think this track, the way it's laid out, is really going to be a great place to run the championship finale going forward beyond this season. I really do hope that NASCAR looks at this race and goes and says, gosh damn it, we got to get this series out, like get our national series out of Phoenix for the finale and bring it either back to Homestead, Miami, or give it to Martinsville. And just let's do something. I would love Martinsville to be the season finale. I really do. I know the weather might be a little bit of a challenge. And I know some people who are watching can comment to that a little bit better than I can. But I do think that a Martinsville / Homestead Miami season finale would be something to watch. I do. I really do. I think NASCAR's got to do something. Now, what will be a little bit more interesting is once the Nashville Fairgrounds gets renovated and gets a date, and it's going to be interesting to see whose date they end up stealing. Does Nashville somehow end up in the mix in the final playoff bracket of races? And then what do they move out? Do they take the Roval and yeet the Roval out and put in somebody else? We'll see. But I just think Phoenix as the season finale for all 3 series, it's just not a great place to watch. It's not a racetrack for excitement. If you want excitement, I mean, NASCAR maybe could create a rule, and I heard that on Door Bumper Clear this when I was listening to the latest episode. Maybe the rule is that the season finales races, there's an automatic green, white checkered, that comes, and it's up to race control when they throw it. I don't know, but um, I think at some point in time, NASCAR's got to do something to make the racing more exciting at Phoenix. And I don't think it's the car. I think it has something to do with the track and what they've done to the track since the last maybe 10 years or so. Just my 2 cents. But very happy for Chase Briscoe, gets his first career win. And listen, this is a kid that, the last couple of years, if you really think about it, a lot of people last year thought that Briscoe was in over his head when Tony Stewart put him in this 14 car. There's a lot of people that thought that this kid was in over his head, that this was not a good idea. What the hell was Tony Stewart thinking? And what the hell was the folks at Ford thinking and putting this kid in a car the year before this next gen car comes out? And I think that now you're starting to see what really Chase Briscoe is as a competitor. He's very fierce. He's going to want to go out and win races. He's a competitive guy. And Briscoe is going to risk it to win races. And I think that for those of you that have been looking for a driver, maybe your guy's retired the last year or two, and you really haven't latched on to a particular driver, I would take a look at Briscoe. I really think Briscoe, this is the first of many race wins for him. And I do think that he's really going to start cracking off some wins here this year. And, I think he's a hell of a road racer. Ford spent a ton of money on him going out and running sport car races. He's been doing a lot with the Mustangs and stuff, and going to, the Continental Tire Series there that IMSA puts on. And or I think it's called the Michelin Pro Series, Pro Challenge Series. But he's been going into that feeder series and running a ton of races. And he's been paired up with guys like Cole Custer, Haley Deegan. He's been paired up with some of the Ford performance drivers, and he's really gotten good on these road courses. So, this year when we go to the Roval, he's going to be a factor. When he goes to Coda, he's going to be a factor. He's going to be a factor at Road America. He's going to be good at some of these places that other drivers have really not figured out yet. And that's going to help Briscoe this season. And I do think that this is the first of many wins for Chase Briscoe. Now, I see someone makes the comment on my Facebook Live, I think Tony Stewart's got drag racing on his mind. I think Tony Stewart is a naturally busy guy. And I think that last season, really pissed Tony Stewart off. And I think that Tony was really upset that he didn't get that win with that, didn't get a more than just a win at New Hampshire with Almirola. I think Tony was pissed about that. And I know Tony really wanted to figure out what was broken in the organization and why they didn't get more wins. And I don't know what the hell he did this offseason. I don't know if he turned some people over or what he did, but that team has figured it out. They have come to the track with some competitive cars. Briscoe's been in the mix the last few weeks, and he's been good. I don't think that it's a surprise that Briscoe gets a win at a place like Phoenix. I mean, hell, look at where the kid won his first race of 2020. He won it at Darlington, beating Kyle Busch. So Briscoe has been very good in the past in Xfinity, and I think that that's just starting to carry over into Cup. And I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. The other guy I would say that you have to be very, very aware of this season is going to be Ross Chastain. I mean, here's a team in Trackhouse that last year everybody was looking at and was like, how the hell is this team doing so well? The first thing that you have to look at is they have a partnership with Richard Childress Racing. They're getting cars from Childress. And those partner organizations have run very well the last couple of years. And you look, and now Trackhouse is more integrated there at RCR. They have, a lot of folks from the former Chip Ganassi racing team working for them. And we know how good that organization was for the last few years, especially when Kyle Larson was there driving for him. I look to see, and really, I think we're gonna notice that Chastain's gonna be very good this year. I think Chastain gets multiple wins. I think Tyler Reddick's gonna get multiple wins. So then you say, well, where is this gonna steal race wins from? I think this steals race wins away from Larson. I think this steals race wins away from guys like Denny Hamlin. I think Harvick gets maybe a win or so this year, but I do think that now that we've gotten some more winners in here, I think this is going to take some wins away from guys that are used to winning multiple races in a season. So I do think that we are starting to see some players in this season, and I think Chastain's going to be one of them. I do think you're going to see that with Reddick. I think Tyler Reddick is going to get at least a couple wins this year. And it's not going to be like your Homestead Miami race win late in the season, your Darlington win, at the start of the playoffs. I think Reddick is going to win early in the season, and I think he's going to win possibly often as well. I just think that he's at that level right now. But like I said, overall, I thought Phoenix was a dud. I do think that Briscoe getting the win, it's not a knock on him. I think he's a talented young race car driver. I think he's got a lot left in the tank for the rest of the season, and I think Briscoe's going to win multiple races this season. And I think Stewart Haas Racing is going to be kind of coming back on that upswing. And I think they're going to be on a good trajectory here for the rest of the season. So big things out of Phoenix. So what we'll do is we'll take one more break. We will talk about our website, thecrewchief.net. And then when we come back from that break, we will get you all caught up on the news of the week as we get ready for the Atlanta Motor Speedway this weekend and Hampton, Georgia. This is the Crew Chief Corner podcast. I'm Bobby Bailey. All right, guys. So we are going to do, we're going to let this upload for those of you that are watching on our live streams. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, whether you're listening to us on Twitch, whether you're listening on YouTube, or whether you're catching us on our Facebook Live. Thanks, guys, so much for tuning in. And if you guys have never listened to the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast, you can check us out wherever you guys listen to your favorite podcast. So whether that is Apple Music, whether it's Spotify, whether it's iHeartRadio, whether it's Odyssey, whether it's TuneIn Radio, wherever you guys get your podcasts, just look up Crew Chiefs Corner podcast. You can catch all of our episodes there. We're even available on our website, thecrewchief.net. And what's even better, if you're watching this Facebook Live right now on our page, you can actually listen to the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast right here on our Facebook page. So check us out. Like I said, you can listen to it on thecrewchief.net, which is our website. You can also listen to it anywhere you get your favorite podcast. And then also you can tune in each week. I am going to be doing live records all season long. So you can just check in and watch us on Facebook. You can follow us on our YouTube channel. And then you'll also check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Giants02122. Still processing on Anchor. So if you do watch us on Facebook, the audio that you guys are hearing is just whatever's, is just me talking. It's not filtered through my headset here. Just because I don't have the Facebook, I don't have my phone plugged into the rest of it. But if you listen to the podcast, or if you're watching on either Twitch or on YouTube, you are actually getting the audio directly through the headset and coming through the speaker. So coming into your speaker. So that's a little bit of the sound difference, sound quality difference for those of you that are watching on Facebook. But at least you guys are getting to hear the podcast. I tried running OBS as my Facebook feed. It just never worked properly. So I went back to OBS being my Twitch streaming platform, which is what it is. And right now, and it works for Twitch. And then YouTube's just a direct webcam connection. And then the Facebook is actually using my cell phone. And then what I do is I have one of those ring lights that keeps everything nice and lit up here. So the laptop camera, my laptop's like 12 years old now. So the camera on it is not as good as the phone. So that's why Facebook goes through the phone and not through the tablet, because the quality on the webcam is garbage. All right, it is finally uploaded. Let's get this bad boy in and we'll start our last segment here. This is going to be a shorter episode than it's been the last few weeks, but that's okay. All right, guys, this is Bobby Bailey back here on the Coochie's Corner podcast, and we are getting ready to talk about Atlanta, but we're also going to talk about some news and notes from the week at hand. So, first and foremost, we are going to have a couple cool paint schemes this weekend. Noah Gragson is going to be driving for Quality Racing this weekend at Atlanta. He's driving the ChevyLiners.com Chevrolet, and that paint scheme, I believe, A.J. Allmendinger ran at the Coliseum for the Busch Light Clash. So you guys can check that out. I'm sorry, I just kicked my Facebook feed there for a second, so apologize, guys that are watching on Facebook. But um, and then we have the Fraternal Order of the Eagles are going to be sponsoring Corey LaJoy. Had a brain fart there for a second. I wanted to say Justin Haley, but they're not sponsoring Justin Haley because Haley is at Colleague. But I would imagine that the Fraternal Order is going to be on the car there as well. I don't know the direct connection on how they're sponsoring Corey LaJoy this weekend, because it was my understanding that the Fraternal Order of Eagles has been with Justin Haley more or less because of Todd Braun, which is Justin's uncle, is, I believe, a member of that organization, and that's why they've been supporting Justin these last several seasons in the Cup Series and all that. So that's kind of where the connection is. But maybe the connection is not that. Maybe it is actually with the Spire folks, and more power to them if that's what it is. So some neat paint schemes coming up this weekend. You can check out the FOE paint scheme on the Crew Chiefs Corners Facebook page, and we'll get the website updated. I know the website is out of date. I got to get it updated, but that'll happen today as well. So check that out. I guess the big controversy of the weekend has been race control. So I was listening to Door Bumper Clear like I do just about every week, because I like getting opinions sometimes from those guys, because they kind of are a little zany on there, and they also see things that happen during the race that necessarily maybe I missed, maybe the average fan misses, and it's kind of neat to just listen to what those guys see from the spotter's standpoint. We talk a lot about what we see on TV and what goes on, and I try to get a lot of the behind the scenes information as far as who's going where with silly season and all this and that. But it sounds like race control has had some issues the last few weeks. So I don't know what the hell's going on over there. But NASCAR race control has got to get their stuff together, if you ask me, because we can't be having guys practically racing during qualifying. I mean, of what I heard from the guys on DBC during Xfinity Series qualifying, the 33, which is Josh Rayome's race team, was on the track, and NASCAR dispatched out David Starr, like basically right in front of the 33, and the 33 has got a younger driver behind the wheel, and Loris Hesmans, and Loris is still learning these cars at any level, despite it being a truck, an Xfinity car, or a Cup car. He's still learning, and NASCAR sending David Starr out there was crazy. And then basically, Starr gets loose and spins out, and it's just a black eye on NASCAR for doing stupid stuff like this. I don't know what's going on with race control, but they got to figure it the hell out. The inconsistency with the caution calls have been bad. For those of you that listened, I don't know if I covered this last week or not, but Spencer Boyd is wrecked in the truck race, sitting up against the inside wall with a dislocated shoulder, and it took NASCAR a few laps to figure out that Spencer Boyd was sitting against the inside wall on the backstretch. I mean, that's pretty freaking embarrassing if you ask me. I don't know what the hell has been going on. We talked about this last year. I don't know what the hell the corner workers are seeing. I don't know what do we even have corner workers at some of these tracks? I have no idea what the hell's going on with race control, but NASCAR better figure this shit out because it is getting ridiculous. Ridiculous that we are seeing some of the stuff that we've been seeing in the last couple of years here. And they got to figure this stuff out because it is just plain old embarrassing on NASCAR's side of things that you're having all these issues. I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on. I don't know if it's a lot of new people. I know what part of the problem is David Hoots has left the race control tower, and part of the problem is the people that they've brought in to replace him are making some big critical mistakes and people they're hiring underneath them. And that's what's going on. That is the actual truth of the issue. The bigger problem is like what happened this past weekend at Phoenix wasn't because David Hoot's replacement was in the control tower. It's because they threw a guy in here who's never done this before and said, "Here, you can get some training and you can run from race control. You are now in charge of the Xfinity Series qualifying." I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but NASCAR used to use the Truck Series, K&N, to develop their officials and bring them up from the various different feeder series and then take them into the Cup Series and let them kind of grow that way. NASCAR, it seems like, has thrown all this away. We all know how terrible the approval process has been, and NASCAR's trying to change that. But, when they make boneheaded decisions like this, it makes you wonder who the hell is making the calls over at NASCAR. And it really scares the hell out of me sometimes because this sport is on an upward trajectory, but this kind of stupid crap keeps happening. What in the world is going to happen if this stuff keeps going on? I just hope NASCAR figures this out before someone gets seriously hurt and before, I mean, that thing with Spencer Boyd could have been way worse had Spencer Boyd been more seriously injured. And the thing is that NASCAR, it took them multiple laps to figure out that Spencer Boyd was in need of assistance. How the hell do you not figure this out? How the hell do you not have a camera pointed all over on these racetracks these days? How the hell are you missing this? I don't get it. I just freaking don't get it. And it is so frustrating for the people that know this sport as well as a lot of you do to see stupid stuff like this become accepted practices and things that just tend to happen. This is what is going on in the series right now in all three series. And what is NASCAR going to do to fix this? I hope they figure this out. I hope they get some better training in there. I hope they make some better hiring decisions, but something's got to change. And I hope they figure this out because it's going to get somebody hurt or worse. And I just don't want to see it get to that point because it doesn't need to get to that point. This sport is, like I said, it's on an upward trend. People are tuning into the Cup Series because of this next gen car. And I do know that and call me crazy, there are people that are watching these races right now because of the single lug nut issues, because of all the other things that are going on. Because if you get 4 flat tires, you're essentially stuck and it ruins your entire race. And guys are losing control of their cars and stuff. This is what NASCAR has brought to the table. And some of this stuff is stupid decisions that they've made. And I said this before we came on the episode. I said that NASCAR with this single lug nut really, really made a big mistake. And I think that we're seeing it kind of play out right now. Guys are messing this up. The crew guys are screwing this up. And I do think NASCAR's got to go back to 5 lugs. I think it's got to happen next season. I just, and most modern cars still come with 5 lug nuts. Most modern cars that you buy today are not ones that are going to have a single lug nut on it. So when you're bringing back, you're quote unquote bringing back stock and stock car racing and getting these cars closer to their, on the street counterparts, the one thing you botched out of everything is a goddamn single lug nut. And I think it makes the pit stops fast, but I think it makes it too fast, if you ask me. But what do I know? I'm just a guy that has a podcast and is broadcasting here on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitch, and you're listening to me wherever you're listening to your favorite podcast. But I think NASCAR's got to look at themselves and really figure this out, and just look at what can we do better, what can we get to make our officials better, what can we do to make sure that we're hiring people proper, we're hiring people, we're training them properly, and we're promoting the right people, and not just promoting everybody up the ladder just because we got nobody else. I hope that's not the case. The other thing I think that is going to be very interesting is going to be Atlanta. So I think Atlanta, we all sort of know that NASCAR has decided to bring this super speedway package for the Cup cars. They're going to run the 450 horsepower package. They're going to run the taller spoilers, the whole 9 yards, right? So this is going to essentially what NASCAR thinks this is going to be is a pack race. I don't really think it's going to be a pack race. I think it's going to be a lot of follow the leader. I think it's going to potentially be very boring. And I hope they prove me wrong. But I do think this is going to be an extremely boring race. I think the guys that are the best on pit road are going to be the guys that gain the positions on the track. I don't see a lot of passing going on. I hate to be this pessimistic going into a race, but I just have zero faith with this new motor and with this rules package that we're going to see pack racing like what NASCAR is thinking we're going to see. Call me crazy, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Now, as far as race picks go, I would say you would have no problem picking a Kevin Harvick. I think Kyle Larson would be a good pick. Ryan Blaney won here last year. Blaney's had a good season. Blaney's pit crew has let him down several times, but I think Ryan Blaney's got a legitimate shot to be a contender this weekend as well. I like what I've seen so far out of, like I said, Stuart Haas. I've liked what I've seen so far out of Hendrick. Maybe this is Chase Elliott's weekend, but I do think deep down within, this is going to be one of those races that it's going to end up being a statement race. I think the guy that wins this race is going to be somebody you're not expecting to win. And who the hell knows who that's going to be. But I mean, I think if Harvick wins, this is going to be the start of Harvick going on a tear. I think if a Chase Elliott goes out and wins, it's going to be the start of a Chase Elliott tear. But if you get some random driver winning, like, another first time winner, we'll see. But it's going to be interesting to find out. But I think Harvick's a good pick. I think Tyler Reddick would be a good pick. I think Ross Chastain would be a good pick. There's a lot of drivers out there that you can make the case for in order to make picks in a pool. So I think any one of those guys would be a good fit. And I think, you know, it's gonna be an exciting race. For those of you that don't have tickets, get tickets because I think it's gonna be one of those you can't miss it kind of deals if you live within driving distance. So check out Atlanta. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun and the news, so far for this week has been pretty minor, other than Corey LaJoie's lost his crew chief and some crew members for the next 4 races due to that lug issue that he had at Phoenix, which really gets compounded because those guys wrecked a car because of it. Um, and that was really the big news story so far of the week. So, kind of a quiet week with news. I mean, I know there were some Tyler Reddick stories out there, some people talking about Reddick's future, but that's pretty secure right now with Childress. He's under contract through next season, so we'll see what happens there. But Tyler Reddick is going to go nowhere. So no matter what happens, sort of on this way forward on the season, we know that Tyler Reddick's going to be back with RCR in 2023, and that's it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in on all of our different social media platforms. For those of you that are listening to us on our current podcast, be sure to check out our sponsor, CircleBDiecast.com, and check out thecrewchief.net. And we'll catch you guys next week as we break down the Atlanta Motor Speedway right here on the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast. Thanks for listening, and follow us on all of our socials as it rolls right after this last segment. Thanks. Have a great race weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week.